everyone, and welcome to our online info session for the Mental Health and Addiction Support Worker Certificate at Ashton College. My name is Lindsay, and I'm from the Marketing Communications team. Today, I'm joined with Amrit, one of our many wonderful instructors we have here at Ashton College. Hi, Amrit. Thanks for joining us today.
Hi, thanks for having me.
There are a lot of ways to engage with us during the session, and we love hearing your questions. If you're on Zoom, you can use the chat box, Q&A box, or the raise a hand function. If you're tuning in on Facebook Live, leave us a comment and we'll be able to answer your questions live during the session. Then if you're watching this video on YouTube after the fact, you can leave us a comment as well or give us a call at 604-899-0803 or a toll-free number at 1-866-759-6006. Before we start, I just want to share the program dates and costs with you all. So we have both in-class and online intakes starting Monday, May 2nd. The live online classes are held Monday to Friday from 5 to 8 p.m. PST time. And for those choosing in-class option, sessions are held Monday to Friday from 8:30 to 12:30 p.m. PST, 8:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. The application fee is $40 for domestic students and $140 for international students. The tuition fee is $5,400 for domestic students and $6,750 for international students. All this information can be found on the program webpage. Both online and in class will also have a 60-hour practicum starting in August. And now, after that's all out of the way, on to the interview portion. So Amrit, could you share with us a little about your career experience and your educational background?
Yeah, for sure. I have a undergrad in psychology, a master's in psychology, developmental psychology. I've participated in various training along the way in the field with trauma-informed approaches, mental health, substance abuse training. And I've started working with at-risk youth who experience mental health, substance abuse challenges, and various trauma. I then worked with human trafficking survivors. That was labor and sexual trafficking. My recent position was working with women in the downtown east side. Through all these experiences, I got really interested in how systems and institutions kind of affect how people get help within healthcare or organizations in the community. So I was interested in quality improvement. So I work in healthcare now, working in patient care.
Awesome. Wow, that sounds like quite a journey that you've done, a lot of harder work that you've done, which is amazing. So how is this program at Ashton College beneficial for students?
I feel like a lot of skills you have to learn sort of in the field of mental health. It's very hands-on. So it's not something you can like learn through a textbook, but there are a lot of topics covered in the Ashton College program, which will provide like a really great framework for understanding the field. I believe in its current state because it is always changing. And I also think the instructors with their experience in the different areas of the field will be beneficial with their firsthand experience and just learning through, what worked for them, how the field has changed, and providing real world examples.
Awesome. What do you think students will enjoy or appreciate the most about this program?
I think what I touched on the experience of the instructors, just because like when I look back, I also remember like my instructors who had really good training in the field, and they would use their experiences to attach to like a story or a particular event to a topic, and I feel like I remember that more. So I noticed that retaining that information was more helpful for me. And I think as individuals, we benefit from learning from people who have that field experience.
I definitely agree. It's great to hear real world experience. You can only get so far with theory, right?
Right.
So what are some career options or typical next steps for students after they graduate from the program?
I think the practicum part of the course will be really important because they'll get to learn if they like that organization or what they didn't like about it, and then they'll be better informed when they're searching for a position. Um, it's a really great starting point to be in the field, and then you just get to learn a lot more about what positions are out there. I didn't know all these positions existed once I went into the field, and just the different areas. And they'll also find that during the course, they'll be more interested in specific topics versus others. And so they will use that interest to kind of search for a position in that area.
So it sounds like there's not really a few set things that you can do. It's kind of you can customize it to what you enjoy and what you're passionate about.
Yeah, there's definitely different areas. Like, for example, I was working in very like niche trauma, which is like human trafficking. So there's lots of organizations, especially in Vancouver, where we have lots of resources. I think compared to a lot of other provinces. So you will find very specialized programs. So if you're interested in specific trauma or age group or etc., there's I feel like there's lots of resources.
Awesome. What qualities or characteristics do you think make someone best suited for this career path?
I would definitely say patience. The journey of healing for individuals with mental health and substance use is definitely not linear most of the time. So it's really hard to work with people and then see them kind of take steps backwards. Um, so understanding that, having no judgment and having that patience to work with people, who will have to make several attempts for support, in order to kind of move in the direction that they want to. Um, and also being a good listener. So I think I hear a lot from clients, especially in my current position as well, which is not really targeted to mental health or substance use. It's, they just want to be heard. So they always say, thank you for listening. So I think that you don't always have to offer like an idea or a resource to somebody. You can just listen to them, and that will be more powerful than you can imagine, especially somebody who's in crisis. And I also think you have to be willing to learn. So my experience in the field, I feel like I changed quite a bit. So you have your own unique approach that you won't understand in the beginning. Once you go in the field, um, you'll start to understand yourself a little bit more and what strengths that you can use through your personality, etc. And you also learn from the various clients. So what works and what doesn't work, and then how to adapt your approach. And I think the ability to process. So you're going to hear a lot of difficult things, and you'll see a lot of difficult things. So you have to be able to process in a safe way so it doesn't kind of weigh on you. So that kind of overlaps with self-care as well. And just being able to support, if you're not able to be like that support, and taking that time to process all this information, it will really affect your work and how you support someone else.
Awesome. Yeah, it's definitely something where work-life balance and that boundary to cut off when your day job ends and when you go home, that
Yeah,
probably is
it's
something that takes time to learn, I would think as well,
for
and what
sure.
works
Yeah,
best for you.
it's like human nature. Like you'll take it home for sure, but it's like you can't just drop it at the door. Um, but yeah, you'll have to find ways to like process it and not affect you and be like that. Um, you're re-traumatizing yourself pretty much, right?
Definitely. This isn't on the list I gave you, but I just thought of this now. Do you have any suggestions of like resources or shows or books or podcasts that someone who is thinking about getting into this field but isn't quite sure and somewhere they can learn more about it?
Yeah, for sure. I think some of the books that I've found interesting were in the realm of Hungry Ghosts, which is Gabor Mate. Um, he is actually from BC, and he's an addictions expert. There's also The Body Keeps a Score, which is by Basil van der Kolk. So he talks about kind of how trauma can affect all areas, not just mental health, but our physical health, etc. Um, and then Permission to Feel, Mark Brackett. He speaks about like processing emotions and the importance of that as well. And then I would say anything by Brené Brown, which is she has a book called Gifts of Imperfection, which she talks a lot about the research that she's done on vulnerability and how to process as well. And I think something I read recently was What Happened to You, which is Bruce Perry and Oprah Winfrey. So they also talk about how to their perspective on trauma and how to see it to be able to support somebody.
So it definitely sounds like learning about trauma is a big thing to do to get yourself prepared for this kind of work.
Yeah, for sure. And it's always changing. There's always new research, and trauma also wasn't like it was the importance of it was there, but it wasn't seen as something that affects you as much as it actually does. So I feel like a lot of organizations and even healthcare now um, really looks at trauma informed approaches and how that greatly affects our personality, our processing, decisions we make. Um, and I feel like that's how the industry has changed as well. And I'm always reading up on trauma. Like it's always changing. There's different books that are coming out. So it's a good starting point.
Awesome. You kind of touched into the next question a little bit of how has the industry changed during your years of experience?
Right. Yeah, I would, if I could say one thing, I think it would be being trauma informed. So just really understanding that trauma can affect so many areas of our body and our life. And I think that there's still a lot to learn about trauma, but it's great to see that the topic is being widely spoken about compared to before, because it helps individuals with mental health and substance use be more understood. So, like the decisions that they make or the actions that they take, um, you can understand them more once you learn about trauma and how it affects the body. Versus if we don't know about that and then we stigmatize individuals with mental health and substance use.
Perfect. So we're already at our last question. I do see we now have Rosemary here. So Rosemary, if you have any questions that you want to ask Amrit, please just put in the chat box or do a Q&A. And yeah, just I'll give you a few moments to think of a question if you do have one. But I do also want to just ask Nav if there is a question from Facebook Live at all.
We don't have any questions.
Perfect. That means you've answered what they're looking for. Do you have any, final words of advice or thoughts you want to share about this field or about your experience or just anything in general, since this is such a pretty heavy career path for someone to do? So whatever you'd like to share.
Yeah, I mean, I found it rewarding, and I think I did it for about, I would say maybe 5 or 6 years, and I did find it to be rewarding as it is difficult at the same time for sure. Um, and I feel like you'll learn a lot about yourself, and you'll learn a lot about what's going on in the world, and you'll get to speak with a lot of different people from different cultural backgrounds, and just different areas of Canada where you didn't get to have that connect, growing up or just, at another position. So it gives you a really good perspective and understanding of the world and what's happening. And yeah, I don't, I think it's good to kind of just go into the field, and there'll be positions that you don't like, and that's okay. I've been there as well, but there's, like I said, there's so much variety, and you'll understand like what you're interested in, and yeah.
Awesome. I guess I could ask, is there anything you wish someone explained to you or taught you or told you before you started your career journey? That's a really big question, I know.
Yeah. That's an interesting question. Trying to think.
Yeah, take your time.
I think self-care, like it's not especially in undergrad or even if you're studying psych or even in my master's program, we didn't really learn about self-care, and I think it's really important to touch upon that and somehow instructors to work it into your curriculum, because I feel like it's something that if it's things are weighing heavy on you, you don't have a safe uh, self-care plan, then you won't be able to do the work. And it's not just mental health and substance use. I think it's a lot of industries. But obviously in this work, it's you will be hearing a lot of difficult things and seeing a lot of difficult things. But yeah, I think I wish somebody had told me a little bit more about self-care.
That makes sense for sure. One thing I guess I should ask as well is, can you describe maybe your teaching style a little bit, or just how you are as an instructor?
Yeah, I like to be approachable. I found that in my undergrad or in grad school, I like to kind of have a relationship with my instructor, um, where could be open to asking questions and having debates about things, or um, just advice about the field. So I hope that I am portraying being approachable. I like to, like I said, use examples from the field. So everything that I would teach, I would try to use either something that's happening in the field currently, or uh, like in the news, or something that I experienced in the field or saw in the field. Um, and just using different mediums to teach, whether that's like videos or books or different types of presentations, just different learning methods.
Awesome. I think that's a great place to end. So thank you so much, Amrit, for joining us today. And thank you everyone for watching. And please, if you want to learn more, visit our website, ashtoncollege.ca. And the intake for this program is May 2nd. So it's coming up quick. So if you're interested or want to register, please visit ashtoncollege.ca. Thanks everyone for joining, and have a lovely day.
Thank you. Bye.